You've trained for years. You've built your skills. You're ready to create. But the industry says no. No job, no budget, no space for your voice. What do you do then? Aloha, I'm Sharon Landon, and welcome back to this episode of Old Asian Lady. My guest today is Christine Kaʻaloa. She is a video storyteller, a female solo travel influencer, and YouTube coach. In part 2, we dive into the grit behind the glamour of solo travel and content creation for GrrrlTraveler. Christine shares how she built her YouTube channel from scratch, the challenges and pressures of being a one-woman show. We talk about burnout, bravery, and the power of showing up even when no one's watching. If you've ever felt stuck, scared, or unsure how to start, this episode is your permission slip to begin.
So there was that whole identity shift again of being a woman in a male industry and not finding acceptance, not finding an easy way in. Whereas I didn't encounter that in Los Angeles or New York. You know, they're very flexible. Women are in the field. But here I was like, at the time, I think there was only one other woman in the industry who would, you know, be considered for holding a camera.
Right.
Or operating it. So it took a while to do that. And in the process, I started my YouTube channel because I just wanted to keep those skills alive. I mean, I loved creating storytelling, like digital, like video storytelling, you know, these reality show ideas, which now turns into YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. I love doing that. And I felt like I was just going to keep that skill warm until I can get back into, you know, into the industry.
The industry is just so hard here for you in Honolulu. Why didn't you move to LA?
After you live in New York, it's hard to go back to LA. You know, and New York still feels so small. And it would be a place to start over again. And I guess I was afraid to start over because that entails finding another apartment. I already had a good apartment in the city, you know, finding something that was comparable to that lifestyle, starting all over again, knocking on doors when I had already taken a gap year away. That's how it felt, like I'd have to start from scratch. Yeah. And the opportunities didn't feel as big as LA. That was the other option. But at the same time, LA was like, you know, buy a car, start from scratch with myself, you know? So in terms of engineering, like, Korea was easy because like I could find an avenue to engineer that, and it was setting it up for me. Whereas this way, I was going to have to start all over from scratch. Yeah, which doesn't make sense at the same time because here I was in Hawaii starting from scratch, but I guess I had like my home.
Yeah, you know, my parents, it's a base there at least, and
the car, my car,
exactly. Right, you got to make choices. Okay, so then it was really hard for you to get. In the industry consistently, I guess. Yeah. But then you mentioned you started doing YouTube. You have a YouTube channel called GrrrlTraveler. Why did you start that? I mean, it's obviously you have a different direction, but when you made the decision to do that, was it just something that came out of your head that you thought that, oh, this is something I want to do. I want to start this channel. I mean, what was your process for?
I did not want to start a YouTube channel because I knew how much work it would be.
Oh, so even at that time, before you did it, you knew it was going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, I knew it when I was in Korea because I had already started my blog. I had my blog. Right. So, you know, that's how my blog kind of grew, is because, like, you know, here I am in Korea. A lot of people eventually wanted to come to Korea to teach English. Right. So it grew from that. And I was like, damn it, I know that like whatever I'm writing is not translating into who my personality is. People think that I'm sure they think that I'm very brave going off on my own, But there are a lot of doubts that I have when I travel. You know, there are a lot of challenges, and I do have like my own insecurities.
Yeah.
Things go wrong,
Yeah.
you know, but how can I film this by myself? So for a long time, I just put it off. Because I knew I wanted to get paid if I did it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here I was in reality TV getting paid to film things, film stories.
So it's kind of like supposedly a natural progression.
It is, but it's also a backward progression too.
Yeah.
Right?
So
because I'm also like, well, how am I going to film myself? At that time, there were no selfie cameras. Right? There's DSLRs.
When we say at the time, it seems like it was so long ago, but really wasn't.
It was.
Right?
What, it was like almost 20 years ago. People have it so easy now. They've got so many selfie cameras, right? And they're so tiny. They got your phone shoots videos. You can do a selfie right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
all these apps, these travel apps,
the little mics that you can carry on, temporary mics. Yeah, so
I did OG style, you know?
OG style. What
like
is
old
that?
Gangster style.
Oh, old gangster style. Yeah. So can you just tell me a little bit about the YouTube channel and why you ultimately went ahead with it? You had the blog already. You already traveling.
And I came home.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find work.
Yes.
Doing what I loved. I felt like if I just salvage this is the one thing that I felt like no one had in Hawaii. The ability to tell a story, unscripted story, you know, where you're just making it along the way.
Yeah.
And this was a great skill that I learned in New York and Los Angeles. I didn't want to just give that up to like become, you know, nothing. So I was like, oh, damn it. Okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make my own YouTube channel, and I'm going to keep that energy alive. And at the same time, it was just kind of like, okay, well, you know, like I said, a lot of people think I'm brave for traveling alone, but they can't see me. And the fact that I'm going through all this, like, I'm pretty nervous about traveling alone. I'm going to make mistakes. I don't know what's on the other side, you know? And so it was just filming for someone like me. So it was filming for me, knowing that there are other people just like me who were scared to do it alone, who couldn't see on the other side, and now I was going to show them on the other side. You know, and so that was it. It became trying to help myself, the myself that are in other people, and show them a blueprint of how you could do it on your own.
So you had girls, 3 R's. I mean, was that just? I mean, GrrrlTraveler is great, but like, how did you
GrrrlTraveler
and 3 R's? You know what I mean?
Well, it had to be like grrr, like grrr, you know, because it was it was partially New York too. You know, it goes back. It goes back to New York. My first trip, solo travel. You know, this is all coinciding around the same time as Korea is happening. I'm starting to have all these little lightning moments, and that was like I had a trip. We were going to India with a girlfriend who invited her other friends, and we had planned this trip the way we wanted it. And when we got there on the second day, we were taken to like this tourism office, which was more like, you know, one of those tourism where they're gonna, I don't want to say scam now, but it felt like a scam at the time, where they sold us exactly the same, what we had, but in a more pumped up way of, you know, we got the hotels, we have a driver and all that stuff. And that was not the way I wanted to experience India for the first time. And so eventually that led to me kind of like separating from that group and then going off on my own, you know, and that's where it was pure survival. It was like New York, the same way I felt like in New York, every day was survival.
Wow.
You know, and that's how solo travel felt for me. It wasn't like this vacation. It was survival of myself and my self-esteem, as I had to like rip myself away from my friends because I wanted to do it my way. Feeling upset that I was abandoned or abandoning myself so that I could have the trip that I wanted to. But yeah, it was just finding and learning how to pull resources while you're in that moment. If you feel like the rug's been pulled out from under you, how to make it happen like that. So that's what the GrrrL was for. It's like doing it any way you can, you know, like falling down, you know, stumbling, you know, with humor, with pain, whatever it is. You just embrace all those moments and you just make it happen. You just keep going. You survive.
Yeah, so I mean, I always liked solo traveling myself. Not to the extent that you've done, where you just go way out in the boondocks or do all of that kind of stuff. But it's freeing in a lot of different ways. You know, you don't have to time yourself and make sure, oh, what does everybody else want to do? You know, da 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 da. So, but you took it to another level in terms of the stories that you were telling, the places that you visited. And since starting the YouTube channel, the leap that you made, how's that been? It's now how many years that you've had the channel? Oh my
gosh. I started that channel like maybe in 2011 or something like that.
2011, so
but my blog was like 2008.
Okay.
So I don't know, you have to do the math because I really suck at that.
Well, it's 2025, so 14 years already.
Something like that.
But it wasn't a continuous thing that I mean, that's a lot of travel.
It is, but it's a purpose, you know? And I think when you're in Hawaii and you're still trying to find, you're being frustrated in your own life at times, like even the male-female thing, you have to deal with it at work, you know, feeling like underestimated or whatever. It just all comes out. That became my expression of my outlet.
Okay.
You know, and so I built that. I mean, granted, I'm not like 1 million followers. I've kind of grown pretty slowly. But it's not, it was amazing that there would be brands that would reach out to me. And there were brands that I thought I had to be in New York to get, you know? So in that sense, I was like, haha, Hawaii, you think you can put me down?
Yeah, when you're talking about brands, is it like hotels and places, or is it like equipment, or what is it when you're saying brands reaching out to you?
In my head, I like to say there's sponsors and then there's brand partners or campaigns or whatnot. The sponsors are the ones that, like, whenever, because I'm in travel, whenever I plan my trip, I have ideas of where I want to explore, experience, what I think is going to make good content. And so I'll reach out to, you know, different tourism brands, like a hotel or like a tour or a guide, or even a tourism. No, I haven't really reached out to tourism boards, but I've worked with tourism boards. And that helps me to create the content. Not always does it pay. But it helps me to create what I want, what I envision. And it helps me, of course, stay on budget because I'm creating a lot of content for free.
Yeah.
You know, and for me to sink my money into videos all the time, it gets to add up. So that kind of helps. It's kind of like this weird thing because even though I'm getting comped for something, I'm still paying them through my work.
Yeah.
So, and that work is hard work.
Yeah. And how much of creativity or freedom do they give you to create the content of their product?
When it's just like the sponsors, whatever idea I have, I'll be like, hey, you know, I just want to come out and like maybe review your hotel or do a video about your hotel, blah, blah, blah. So I already kind of had an idea. If I'm reaching out, I already have an idea of what I want and how it's going to fit into my channel and fit the format that I have. And how they're going to give me the best experience or the best information for my audience. And then there's like the brands that pay, and they have an idea. Sometimes they're just very like, oh, you know, what. They kind of leave it up to you. But there are certain parameters they might have, you know, like obviously, you know, can you not include any other brand logos in there or, you know, stuff like that. I don't think anyone's told me not to be negative. That's something that's kind of like a given, but at the same time, you want to be honest. And so I feel like because they've given me, they're paying for it, a lot of them are paying me to think outside of the box too. Not necessarily always to just be, well, I like to look at it is this is my creative time. This is where I get to like expand my potential as a video storyteller. Because like when I worked with SanDisk, they were just kind of like, well, hey, you know, we'd just like to know what your process is. And I was like, well, this is great because no one's asked me that. And this is vital to my channel because, hello, being a solo traveler, a female solo traveler, you think these shots just happen on their own? You think I have a camera crew? It's me. I'm the camera crew. I'm the everything.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, thank you for asking me this question. Thank you for paying me to answer it in the way that I want to do it creatively. You know, because there are times that I get bored by being pigeonholed into my formats. You know, and so like even when Mazda, they had this idea for a trip to the Arctic Ocean, like a caravan, right? I'm like, well, that's interesting, right? But the whole, like the backdrop of everything, the cultures that we go through and whatnot, and they only wanted one video, you know. But it was such an amazing experience, and I'm a travel child. There's no way I could not do a series on it,
right?
You know, to take you like time differences, white nights, and you know, like all this.
How do you do that? I mean, you're doing the brand of Mazda, which means that their product have to be in there.
Yeah, we're using their product to get there.
Yeah, but then you're talking about this Arctic thing, so that means it was actually you filmed by the Arctic waters and all of that
it was like
stuff.
all frozen out there.
Oh wow! They bring a car. That's interesting.
I mean, they had their own crew to create their own content for them.
Okay, because it seems like it would. Oh, okay.
And then there were other influencers there, so there are certain times I can ask them. Like we all kind of know to help each other out because we all know it's hard, and some of us don't have like a whole crew, or a lot of them. No, everyone there was kind of like their own person, their own creator.
You're just talking about the influencer. It's just really, really hard. I mean, like, how did you get to the point where you were able to get these brand, you know, sponsors or whatever like that? I mean, you have to hit certain number of subscribers. I mean, for other people that maybe are thinking about doing this, or you have to have so many videos that you put out or so many likes, you know?
Well, I think you have to have some kind of followers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is
but there's no real hard number because these days they say like the nano and the micro influencers are the ones that people want because when you're small, your community is tighter. You know, the larger you get, the harder it gets because you start getting followers from a lot of different places that aren't always your loyal followers. You know, so I was still, I don't know, I think maybe was I at 40,000 or 20,000? It felt small to me because I was on my own trajectory, and it wasn't I wasn't going for 100,000 at the time. I was just like going for people who were loyal to me, you know, who loved what I did.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that I sculpted my channel the way I did, and some help from SEO, which I told you about, my videos would pop up, you know, on people's radars. So I would get like a good sizable amount of opportunities, but whether or not it fit me or not, that would be another story. But yeah, they would find me just doing their, like on YouTube, like my video would just pop up on their searches. And I think that's it. It's just being discovered in that kind of way, and to have a body of work that brands feel that they can align with because it makes sense. I'm clearly about solo travel, you know, and it was clear that I was teaching people how to do it. So I think for brands, they would see, okay, well, yeah, we want to appeal to travelers, you know, maybe to females, maybe to, you know, a certain type of traveler. It already brings up a certain demographics. So when brands go out there and they're just kind of like, okay, well, we want to reach out to people, who's going to buy our product, you know, what are they going to be interested in? What age group are they? Are man, woman, what gender? They ask all these questions, and then they find the influencers that they feel that have those audiences.
Okay.
So I think it's just kind of like, for you, it's knowing what you want to serve your audience, what kind of value you want to serve your audience, and just plugging that away, and every once in a while reaching out to brands and seeing if they want to work with you. There is no hard number. A lot of people think it's like you have to have 100,000. No, you could have like maybe 1,000, and if your each video you put out has like comments, has views, it looks like people are engaged and interested in what you're doing, then that's a following that can stand behind you. Like a lot of people say, well, I want to, like, I just remember doing like helping this one YouTube channel, and his goal was to like reach 1 million subscribers in a year. I was like, well, what?
That's like, oh my God.
I mean, it's possible if you go viral, but at the same time, what is your goal really? Do you want to just get subscribers, or do you want subscribers that are going to buy your product, who are going to watch your videos, who are going to support you? Like, where are you going to make your money? Is it on view counts? Is it on like, donations or crowdfunding? Is it going to be like sales? And all of these questions are like questions that create different strategies. So
yeah, you have aside from your channel, you also have a Jumpstart Academy, right? Where all the stuff you're talking about now, you really help people strategize and plan.
Like I offer coaching and consulting, and I have like this audit that I do for YouTube channels, because a lot of people don't know what they're doing wrong,
right?
Or not what they're doing wrong, but what they're not doing right to get to where they want to get to. Because it's really hard, even for myself. I can't objectively judge my own channel because I'm so close to it. I'm like that close to it. It always helps to have other eyes on it, so that they can help you see what's not showing up the way you think is.
Right.
So
I mean, honestly, it just starting a YouTube channel is such an overwhelming thing, really. And like you said, it definitely is a strategy. You have to have a plan, but all the things that come with learning on what you need to do, what not to do, blah, 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 blah. It's overwhelming to me anyway. And I'm just, a starter. I'm not looking to be an influencer, but like in your journey of doing this, and now you're able to have this consulting business. It's all the experiences that you went through and that you learned yourself over these 14 years. So,
and the platforms always change too. This is the thing, like with social media and everything, the platforms always change. So like you're constantly like having to update your knowledge to some degree.
Right. I wouldn't say it would be an easy process, but with everything that you've done with your journeys, with the stories, with all of that, the YouTube thing, was there a period of time where you just said, it's just too hard, I can't do it? And I'm not just talking about going out to all these different countries in that aspect. I'm just talking about simply in terms of producing this YouTube channel. Has it been worth it? And was there any point where you said, I just can't do it?
I mean, it never felt like it wasn't worth it, because there was always that purpose behind it. I always had a very heartfelt purpose, and I think that's the one thing you need to make sure that you have when you start a YouTube channel, is like you pick a topic, or you pick, an idea that you can like stick through like thick and thin. That even when the money's not coming in, you still want to do it. It still lights you up. You still feel a purpose. You want to help someone, or you want to like be a voice for a certain community. Because the thing is, we're all influencers. We all influence each other. Like even as friends, we influence each other. So I think that's something you can't ever discount. because I know like people are just kind of like they want to shy away from being that whole influencer, and that has like negative connotations too sometimes with some people, or maybe it sounds like, oh, you're trying to be big, like a big star, like a YouTube star, whatnot. It's not that at all. I think these days, because a lot of things happen by word of mouth, and we can only trust each other versus ads. That your best friend, the people you're around, the people who you see down there who's like drinking that Coke, everyone becomes an influencer in their own way. So it's just a matter of like, you know,
a good way to look at that.
Yeah,
think about that.
Yeah, it's not as hard as people think. You know, it's just finding that one thing that just really lights you up, that you love to do. You can stick through it. You can continually find topics to feed it, to keep moving forward.
Okay, so
you're already an influencer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, having a topic and stuff, then and being able to believe in and having the passion of doing content for that. That's really super important. How about all of the other things that comes along with having a YouTube channel? You know, the editing, finding out the SEO. You mentioned SEO, all of this kind of stuff. And honest, I mean, the YouTube, I mean, the internet is so full of YouTubers telling you all these different ways of doing things, and how do you trust, how do you go, how do you pick somebody to listen to, you know, in terms of advice that they give.
I think we always start from like having a problem that we want to research and search for.
And you get 20 million, I mean 20, not 20 million. 20,
well, then the internet serves you certain choices that you get to choose from. Then you click on a video and you're like, oh, that's just bullshit. You know, I don't like this creator at all. But then there will be those that you feel like, okay, you know, I get this. I like this person. I like their personality, or I trust them. They're an authority of you know, that I need at this time. And that's why it's just, there's no real right or wrong answer. It's just like, as a creator, knowing who your audience is and creating for them, and creating your tribe or your community, you know, from there. Because there's so many personalities, and of course there's people who are still growing. There's still like, people are bullshit, you know, and there's people who really know their stuff, you know, but maybe they're too boring, or maybe this person's kind of silly, but at the same time very informational, and maybe you gravitate to that. The great thing about YouTube is that there's so many different personalities to fit everybody's, you know, kind of preference, and a bunch of different topics. So I think what I really loved, or what I really learned from YouTube regarding acting, because that was another reason, right? I tried to practice my video, but I'm also kind of I was also very afraid of getting in front of the camera. I remember like even background acting, right? Whenever I see that camera there, like I would stiffen up, and I'm like, don't look at the camera, don't look at the camera.
I know, and it's, why is that, you know?
Right? All of a sudden it's this alien thing. So sorry, I'm going off a tangent again.
No, don't worry.
So when I see the camera there, the more I interact with the camera and I become comfortable with it, the more I become comfortable with it, and I start letting loose my personality, the more I get comfortable being me in front of the camera, you know?
Yeah.
And whoever I'm speaking to is my audience, who are like me. They're like me. They're me.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking into the camera and I'm talking, then I'm talking to my best friend.
Oh. Yeah.
And so it kind of just works all its way through, where I started becoming a lot more confident on camera during our auditions, because I was like, oh, that's just my friend.
Yeah.
You know? And I felt I would know all my angles, right? Because I see myself the whole time. I have to edit myself. Oh my God, that's so... I look horrible, whatnot. And then at the same time, because like I was in the realm that I am of travel vlogging, you know, impromptu words of wisdom come out when I'm looking the most haggard. I can't cut that out because it's vital information, right?
Yeah.
So I have to get used to the haggard look that I look, just so that I can have that vital information for my audience.
I feel like this is a kind of important thing because we always want to try to make ourselves look the best on camera.
Right?
But being able to accept yourself in whichever way that it is that you are, that's like a total step forward, right? You're allowing other people to see the real you and not.
And you fall in love with it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Because even like when I go on auditions, oh my God, the camera would be like there. I'd be like, okay, this is my not good side. This is my good side. Let's kind of position myself. When you said I had to sit on this side, I was like, oh, man.
I know, because I have to sit on this side because
thanks a lot.
It's so funny. Yeah.
You know? And that was such in my head of the audition that I couldn't.
When I was in Mount Shasta and I saw this like pervert guy that was trying to pee because I was a single, hiker, and he tried to stage this peeing kind of thing behind a tree. And, just irritated at my reaction. And then the whole time, and he like totally disturbed my peace walking on that mountain. And the whole time it was going through my head, oh my God, why did I give that reaction? I should have like told him, I don't want to see any tiny birdies here, or I should have took a picture of this, or blah, 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 blah. All this stuff going through my head. And then I was thinking, when we do auditions and stuff as actors, afterwards, it's always, oh, I should have done this, or, oh my gosh, I could have done. And it was kind of like a parallel thing that we're so much in our head. And you know what? It's like, it happened. It is just, you can't do nothing else about it. Don't keep on going on and on and on.
Because we always think there's a right answer, a right way of how to be versus a wrong way, right? And so you're just like, oh, that wasn't the best way.
Yeah.
I could have been better. But when you make so many mistakes on YouTube and you've got to edit yourself, and you've got to put in those unbeautiful moments.
Otherwise, you don't have any content. I mean, that says that important thing.
Yeah. Then you learn to accept it and embrace it and become like, okay, well, it was, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
You accept those moments more, those failures, because actually the irony thing is the more vulnerable you are and those failures, people love them.
Yeah. People connect a lot more.
They do. So put all the ugly moments in.
Through all of this journey of doing your YouTube channel and where it is right now, I believe you had a period of time where you just totally stopped.
I got burnt out.
Right? Burnt out.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was it like, and what made you just finally say, hey, you didn't stop. Actually, you're still doing it now, but it was just
it's compulsive. My compulsive part, like insecurity, I think also that I still sort of keep doing it every once in a while, even though I'm still a little tired. I mean, I could sense the burnout happening. Especially during the pandemic. I mean, we're like hit with everything. We're hit with the pandemic, the elections, Black Lives Matter, Asian hate. And how do you pivot from all of that when you're just like, ugh? And then people traveling, even though there's COVID. I mean, that kind of disgusted me too.
Yeah. Like, are they crazy?
Yeah. Or like people growing their channel, their travel channel because of COVID. And so that really turned me off. I also crossed that certain age. where my body started shifting and my values started shifting. All of a sudden I wanted to do things that felt more meaningful to me. It wasn't only like bucket list journeys. I wanted to do things like volunteer or show things that matter, and not feed just tourism that was not respectful. Well, anyways, I'm taking on another tangent, but it was a lot of overwhelm, and I was still trying to push through it. I was trying to push through like creating these courses, coaching. And then eventually it became like, well, let's do group tours because I always wanted to do that.
that is a lot of work. I'm sorry. When I saw that like you were going to do the group tour, I thought oh my gosh,
it was like learning a different career. Oh. And I'm just like, I'm a solo content creator. How can I juggle all these things? How do other people make it happen? And then I was trying to speak at conferences too. And it was just, at some point, it just became all so too much that I remember, I think it was, I crossed it at 2024. Like I was going, starting to feel tired. And then January 2024 came. And I was like, what's the next video? And all of a sudden, like I switched off. I think my central nervous system just kind of like kicked in. I was like, that's enough. That's enough. You're burnt out. You've already gone past the red in your battery, and we're not going to give you any more. And so I couldn't think. I couldn't process. Like I was shut down. Whenever I opened up my social media apps, I'd feel immensely tired, and I'd be like, oh my God, now I need to sleep for the next day or the entire day.
Yeah.
So my body would already tell me where I wasn't allowed to go. And what I wasn't going to be allowed to do. So it's like, well, what can I do? If I can't think, I can't create, nothing's coming to me. I'm feeling exhausted every time I think of having to do something. And then because also these years I was living mostly up here. Right?
What do you mean?
All the activity was happening here.
Oh yeah, because you're filming. Yeah.
Filming, thinking, making decisions, thumbnail designs, SEO, blog posts, newsletters, social media, trying to get things to perform, to grow, whatnot. The stress, the pressure. So all of this shut down, and I was only able to do small things. Like maybe I could do, maybe I could write a little blog. But nothing where I could show up.
You mean you were like literally?
I was physically shut down.
Yeah, you just couldn't get up to do anything. Or when you're saying you could do a little blog, you just couldn't get out of bed or something, or it was just you couldn't think clearly, or what were the?
Think clearly. I couldn't process anything that had to go with inside myself.
Wow.
Like the cup, my cup was just like overflowing, and it was not allowing anything in. And you need to let things in. You need that space to reflect on things, to digest things. But these days with content, we just have to keep spitting it out for everyone's binge. And people don't really even care what they're watching because they forget about it the next day or maybe in the next minute. But you feel like you have to keep feeding that monster, and you can't stop. Even like my downtime for like creating the group tours or launching.
That was your downtime?
Well, yeah.
Your downtime was actually doing a group tour.
Oh, no, that's
totally
not
different.
That wasn't it. My downtime was trying to focus on all the things that I didn't do. Yeah, right. like my coaching and stuff like that, because I could still think analytically. Like technical things was okay. Creative things, not okay. Going inside myself, not okay. Right. Staying factual, okay.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's like part of you is not there at all.
Yeah. And not only that, it was like, then I realized it was the things that like I didn't use. Like I was using all up here all these years. All of down here was getting neglected.
Wow, that's interesting.
And so I started gravitating towards gardening, home improvement. All of a sudden crew work came in where I got to be more in my body and more present.
Oh yeah.
And this is how life was sort of shifting and balancing me off. Because all the things that I was attracted to now were having to do with like the tangible world, me meeting you in person and hanging out versus online.
Yeah.
Which gets to be just so virtual. And in the end, what do you have really? It's not something real. It doesn't feel real at times. So that was my way of sort of like balancing out a little. But it took a while, and I'm still kind of tired.
So, I mean, you have a lot of different things that you're doing, but you're still doing the travel videos, or you're still planning on doing that, even though you've have had all of these experiences with YouTube, and you even yourself were saying that YouTube can be kind of just really, it's like a virtual reality thing, or something like that, where it's not necessarily that you're there.
Well, I think with YouTube it's different though, because there is a very physical aspect of it. You have to be in person to create these videos.
Yeah, that's true. So,
but it's like when you have to promote it, when you have to create the thumbnails.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's all thinking. Like decision. Do I use this color? Do I use that color? Is my font too big? Is it too small? Is my title like engaging? Is it going to make people click? Even social media. Oh my God. Because the social media world these days is really ramping up. They're like, give us short form videos, like short format videos. You have to keep feeding that. So that kind of, like those kind of worlds, even there's a part of me that loves being creative, and that's the part that I can't stop. There are a ton of videos that I shot that I'm just like, oh my God, I want to have them. Like I want to see them created, but I can't even get there to the edit bay before something wanting to shut down on me.
So you never really, because I'm thinking when you take your trips and you go on these trips, you've never really had the opportunity, when you go to the beautiful places that you've gone, you've never really found a way to just have a time to just balance yourself.
To do nothing.
Just only enjoy. Just always,
I think there are moments where I do, and I just shut off the camera and I'm enjoying something, and then something happens and I'm just like, oh, this would be perfect to film.
Oh.
And I think that's why I haven't kind of like traveled this year, is because in Hawaii, I'm not known to film. There's so much things going on me that I've already dismissed because I live here, that it's something that I keep for myself at the moment. And the more I keep these things to myself and I don't document it, the more it feels good. So I've been recharging my battery, and I feel like I'm getting in a better place, but I'm just not ready per se for the extra. And maybe it is like having to hire someone, or maybe I'm going through so much. Like when you cross that certain age, I won't say it on when you cross that certain age,
old Asian lady.
Right, your body changes.
It's a perception too.
But your body changes.
That is true. There is physical
physically changes in a way that you can't ignore anymore. Like I feel tired at times. Like I want to sleep in the middle of the day. Or like gravity feels a certain way. When I wake up from my bed, I'm just like, oh, there's pain, and it takes a while for me to get out of bed. And these things slow you down, but you're also having to deal with that whole, like, I'm getting older. Oh my God, is it showing?
And especially for people that are on camera or in the industry, when you're behind the camera, not so bad. But do you feel that you're old in the terms of old, or do you just feel aspects of aging? But you know what I mean?
For the longest time, I felt like I was in my 30s. And travel kept me there because it's like timeless, right? You can be any age. It's how you feel in the end. And so I feel like I fended off age for a long time, like the wrinkles and stuff like that. I feel like I fended it off. And like I had this whole thing, like for a long time, I was like, that Dorian Gray story. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the one about the picture that kept on changing.
Where it was aging back there, but he was like, I feel like that was my Dorian kind of thing. It's just like I always had that image of myself in my 30s. When the pandemic happened and everyone kept on asking my age, and I started feeling like really burnt out, I started feeling my age. And that's when things started dropping, wrinkles started happening.
But did you tell that people their age?
And I'm just no. It's because I'm thinking it. Stop thinking it.
Okay, so you never really had to
What?
Tell people your age?
Yeah, I had to. Oh my God.
Okay.
With COVID, like on sets, you're constantly asking your age. What's your birthday?
Oh my gosh.
How old are you?
Because you think, because the industry, you're not supposed to
tell your age,
and stuff, right?
Because the moment you say your age, no matter how you look, the moment you say your age, people lock in on that and they see you as that.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I want to ask you about your wow. Wow meaning words of wisdom. So is there any advice or any experiences that you've accrued that you would like to share with the audience that maybe can help them some way, whether it's dealing with podcasting, traveling, self-growth?
I think it would be that at any time you can always pivot yourself. You can always remake yourself. You know, and I think like what I shared with my life and how many iterations it's taken, like it really because of like a winding road.
Yep.
You know, and I think we're both creative people, right? It's just kind of like that natural way. I think maybe we're even like more, I want to say we're more heart led in certain ways, right? We're attracted to like things that pull us.
Yeah,
like,
follow your heart.
Yeah. So just that is that I feel like life is just like you're following just one flow or one kind of thread. And at some points you have decisions to make and you can either continue the flow or you can get pulled in a different way, you know? And sometimes it's fun to just go with the flow of those, like wherever you're being pulled and they just offer new challenges. The mistakes, they really help more than anything. They help you find a clearer path or a new you that you want to be at the time. Because we're always constantly changing.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of change either. Don't be afraid of those mistakes, like you said. So
they are like little angels.
Yeah. All right. There you go. You got your own little angels there. Thank you, Christine, again.
Thank you for having me.
Chatting. And thank you for joining us again on another episode of Old Asian Lady. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.